Working with shapes also allows you to draw attention to different areas as well as create graphical elements inside of your document. You can do this inside of PowerPoint and Excel and all these other programs that are Microsoft as well. And a lot of these skills also carry over to like Adobe products, maybe a website like Adobe Spark or Canva, where you're making graphics regularly for either social media or flyers or those kinds of things. So a lot of these skills seem really basic, but they actually do transfer over to other areas as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and insert a shape into this document. So going to the Insert tab, we have in the Illustrations group a whole Shapes section. And Shapes allows you to utilize the different shapes that are available in the Microsoft program, but also to have a drawing canvas where you draw inside of it. I rarely use the drawing canvas. I don't know a lot of people who use it regularly, but if you wanted to kind of lock all your drawings and shapes inside of an area, you could utilize a drawing canvas. In this case, what we're going to do is just kind of draw attention to an area. So we're going to go ahead and utilize our circle shape or our oval shape to be able to draw attention to something. And we're going to put two circles on top of each other and kind of do a drop shadow effect a little bit, utilizing those two circles to really draw attention to something. So I'd like you to find the oval shape inside of the Shapes drop-down menu. In the Shapes drop-down menu, the oval is one of the, probably one of the recently used shapes, but it is also it's the first basic shape after you have just a text box. So when we have the oval and we go to draw, you can see that we can click and drag after our cursor turns into a crosshair and begin to draw, and it will let us draw any size of shape. If we want this to be a perfect circle though, we can hold Shift on our keyboard while we're clicking and dragging. And again, this is like a tool that kind of transfers into Photoshop and Illustrator for Adobe products, works inside of the Canva website, all those kinds of things. Shift is a common keyboard shortcut to keep things proportional. So I'm going to go ahead and draw just a proportional circle. I'm going to let go of my click first before I let go of Shift, and that will allow me to keep that proportion. Then you'll see that the second that it's drawn, it looks a lot like a picture. It gets a bounding box, it gets the rotation, it has the layout options, and a new tab up here in our ribbon has appeared for shape formatting. And you're gonna see a lot of similarities like shape styles, word art styles. Now we have accessibility as well for alt text, lots of different arrangement options, size, rotation, things we've used before for pictures and smart art that are very common throughout the objects of your different programs. So I'm going to go ahead and take this and I'm going to just customize it a little bit. Instead of using one of these named shape styles, which these colors and styles again are coming from my theme that I've chosen, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to adjust the shape outline to be none. So I'm going to remove the outline altogether so it doesn't have this like dark pink stroke around it. So to do that, I'm going to go and choose no outline. You can see that there's even more outline options like choosing how thick it is. Maybe you want to make it look sketched. Maybe you want to make it have dashes. There's even more lines. If you draw just a line, you can put arrows on the end of it. You can do more outline colors, lots of different things available to you. So I'm going to go ahead and just do no outline, and that removes that outline for me. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste this. So I'm going to go ahead and just Control C on my keyboard and Control V to paste. And that creates a secondary circle. And then I'm going to take the shape fill and I'm going to choose a different color. So I'm going to choose like this blue color. So we have two circles that are, similar. They're the exact same size and they're two different colors. And what I want to do, and I want to challenge you to do, is to move the circle that you just created with this new color. So mine's in fact like this purple blue. And I'd like you to move that behind the other circle. So pause your video here and see if you can move it behind the other circle that you previously created. So this is where the arrangement group comes into play. And we don't use the arrangement group a lot. We didn't use it when we were learning about pictures, but they work with pictures, they work with shapes, and they really do help you utilize the different areas of this. So for instance, if I want to move this shape behind, you can see I have a bring forward, I have a send backward, and then there's these drop down menus, and I can right click and send it to the back. This will then push it behind the other shape, and then I can modify it and move it around to give it just this tiny little drop shadow look to it, where it's a different color and it's drawing attention. There's also alignment tools and those kinds of things that we'll talk about in just a few moments to kind of align stuff. So the next question is like, if I don't want my shape right here, I want it like down in the bottom, how do I select both shapes at the same time to move them? In order to select both shapes at the same time, you utilize shift. So it kind of depends on what you're hovering over. Like right now I have my back circle selected. I'm going to hold shift and go hover over this like side of the pink that I know my blue circle isn't on. And I'm going to try and select both of them. Now, if that doesn't work, you can always click and try again. And your goal is to really get these two bounding boxes. So you can see I have a bounding box on my pink, bounding box on my blue. I've even got 2 rotations up here. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move those. And if I move them down here, they move together even since they're both selected. Now, if you click off of them and then you click on the pink one, it's kind of frustrating that it doesn't select the blue one as well. So this time what we're going to do is we're going to group them together to act like one shape, but still be 2 different shapes. So I'm going to select them both. So I'm going to hold shift and select on the other shape. And I'd like you to see if you can group these together. To group these together, we can right click and we can choose group and group them together, or up in the arrange group, you also have the ability to group as well. Once you group them together and you click off and click back on, you'll see that then they move together and don't change. If you wanted to adjust one of them specifically, you could double click and then you can slightly adjust each of them individually without ungrouping them and making them be separate.